Bee Swarm Simulator is currently in a crazy situation. We've been waiting months for an update, and we haven't really gotten any leaks, and everyone's wondering if the game is dead. Oh my gosh, this community. But this video is basically just a little message to Onett himself and the other couple thousand people that are going to see this video. And there are a few topics I want to cover, starting off with number one, update frequency. Now, this game's community is, how do I put this? Impatient. And everyone wants leaks, and everyone wants the game to be updated, and for starters, what I don't think people realize is that it's already a miracle itself that we're getting updates in the first place, because Onett is already set for life, because Bee Swarm Simulator has made him so much, so he could literally stop updating and not give a care in the world. So everyone, keep that in mind. Now, this isn't really a problem, but I think it's something that could be improved on, and that's the update frequency. Now, I'm not saying that Onett has to start cram developing the game and putting out new content. What I think should happen is that it should actually be split up. Now, one of the great things about the early Bee Swarm days were the updates, because they would come out like every few weeks, and the great thing about it is they weren't even like big updates. Like, it's not like every single time you updated you would add an entire new zone with like 20 new bees. Sometimes it would just be the addition of like a couple new bees, or like a new mob, or like maybe a new zone. Nothing too crazy. Nowadays, when the game gets updated, all of those things get crammed into one singular update, and we don't get anything else the rest of the year. And I honestly think that the system that was going on before was pretty great. I think the community actually much rather preferred having a bunch of little smaller updates throughout the year instead of one humongous stressful update at the very end. That way, it just keeps the game going with little pieces of content being released every once in a while, even if it's not too big, just like a new edition of a bee, or maybe even a new zone if you really want to. And best of all would be collectors, which actually leads me into my next topic, saving Bee Swarm Simulator. Now, everyone's saying that Bee Swarm's dead, and it's not dead yet. Basically, the game is kind of dying, but if Onett wants to save Bee Swarm Simulator, there's one thing he can do. Now, you might be thinking, oh, Onett just has to update the game. Well, it's not just that. Onett could still update the game, and the game would die. There's something specific that needs to be added in the new update, and that is one of three things. Either the endgame sprinklers, the endgame backpacks, or the endgame belts. I've already covered this in previous videos, but in simple, the Robo Challenge was great when it was added, except for the fact that it got boring really quickly, and everyone just grinded for a good new amulet within the first month, and now it just kind of sits at the bottom of our screen. Whereas the addition of new actual gear is really great, because it'll take even the most dedicated of players at least a month, and everyone else multiple months, and it's something that you can physically see on your avatar, and it really boosts your honey making. What I'm saying is, at this point, it feels like it's kind of hard to make progress in Bee Swarm Simulator. And I mean, Onett did add something cool in the last update, which was the heat-treated and hydroponic planters. The only problem is, it had already been leaked a year previous, so by the time it was actually released, it was kind of just boring news, and everyone pretty much bought it immediately because they were so cheap. So in order to save Bee Swarm, all we really ask, and I know you don't actually have to do this, if Onett doesn't want to update the game, Onett does not have to update the game. But I think mainly what the community just wants is something to actually work for, like a new sprinkler or backpack. That's also not crazy expensive like the Planter of Plenty, just something to grind for to keep the game fun. Thank you so much for listening to my opinion and the community's opinion. Sincerely, Bee Swarm Guide. P.S. I think you owe all the endgame players at least $1,000 each, because that covers all the therapy sessions that we all had to take after this year's BBM quest.